Good morning, people. My name is Edward King, and I just rolled out of bed. I hope that you will enjoy my presentation. I've got my coffee here all poured and ready for me to chat a little. The music is called Tried and Tested. It's a song by Bruce Cockburn. That's the background music. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so you can hear me. One of my favorite Canadian folk slash popular slash blues slash quite the artist, let me just put it that way. He is slash contemporary slash a lot of things, but basically Bruce Cockburn is known for his fringe style music, and I've been, I'm frequented with his music. I'm aware of the messages that he puts out in the name of humanity, and has been doing so for well over 30 years. Having said that, I didn't really arrive here to talk about Bruce Cockburn. Those of you who know me know that I am not averse to giving you all a mugshot of yours truly to stare at while I give my chats, but I'm not quite as vain as that. Generally, what I like to do is point the camera in another direction, and that is where it's pointed right now. Believe it or not, it is pointed right directly at my computer screen. This affords me the option of talking directly into the microphone, whereas I don't have that option when the webcam is perched, on top of the monitor. So I like to be heard, and to me that's a greater priority. I do apologize for all the ums and ahs. Here I'm still sort of waking up, but I've been having some apocalyptic, or there's a name for these dreams that I've been having. Not apocalyptic, just dystopian. That's the word. I've been having dystopian dreams, and I'm not really altogether sure what those dreams mean, but anyway, I had another one, and here I am. Yes, I'm still here. I'm still here. Indeed, I am still here. A man approaching his mid-50s who has sired 5 children, and 2 of them grown up adults. The firstborn, my son, essentially disowned me. Thinks his dad is totally outright nuts. He's graduating his 4th year university in petroleum engineering. Congratulations, son. I'm proud of you. Out of respect for you, I won't say your name. And then my beloved daughter, the wild woman running through the wind, but stable all the same in her own right, in the mountain peaks, playing her harmonica, and really into alternative living. So I'm proud of her in that regard, living in a yurt. Similar to those structures that the Mongolians lived in Siberia. So she'll be cozy, she'll be warm. That's her style, and I'm not going to hold it against her. It should be a real life experience for her. She's been all over the world, my daughter has. Vietnam, Wales, Ireland, she's been around, and I think she just turned 24 this year, So congratulations, daughter. You are a success in your own right. Don't let anyone take that away from you. I say these things in the event that they're listening. I don't know that my children much listen to my non-video audio presentations, but I hope that every now and then that they do, and I try to make them available for them. So maybe in case, just for whatever reason, they might want to know what's going on with Dad. Well, there it is. This is what's going on with Dad. I have a lot of heavy matters on my heart. And I'm very concerned for the future of our children and the future of our grandchildren. And I've tried to make videos in the past about this, and always something seemed to go wrong. It was almost like something was trying to stop me from making these non-video audio presentations, because that's what they are. They're non-video, really. They're just audio presentations, so that you can just, go about your business, do your emails, do what you have to do, but please, 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 hear what I have to say. Hear me out. Hear me out, before you judge me, as so many do, including many members of my family. Please, hear me out. I'm going to attempt again, one more time, to list some of those things that I believe fathers, especially young fathers with daughters, should keep in mind. I know that young fathers have their own ideas how they're going to raise their children and what to do, and I would not take that away from them. That's not what I really want to do. Unless it's something particularly detrimental, I would not take those things away from young fathers. I know fathers care about their daughters. I know I'm a father of 4 daughters, so I think I have ought to speak. Who was it? Robert A. Heinlein, who said in his book Time Enough for Love, little girls are like butterflies; they need no excuse. And it seems to ring so true. They can just almost get away with anything, at least with their fathers, because their fathers just love them and see them as so, wonderful and beautiful, and just to have, a daughter flitting about in your life, it's just like the blessing of a butterfly, landing on your nose or something. Okay, well, so much for the metaphor. I mean, I imagine there's some daughters out there land one on your nose all right, but society made them that way, and this is why I'm concerned, because the hearts of daughters are being hardened, and they're being hardened by a system that is unfair, unjust, and if you really want to see oppressive and sexist, you need only look to the government, because in a very subtle fashion, young women are being robbed of their womanhood in ways that they can hardly possibly imagine, because being feminine is really okay. Wearing dresses and looking pretty and having long hair and appealing to very feminine and delicate things, it's okay. It's okay, girls. It's okay. Men like that too. They like a woman to have that difference and to look real female like that. It's okay. If you like pink, it's okay. We men like that. It's all right. We don't mind you appealing to that. The reason why we don't mind you appealing to that is because it appeals to us in the form of a woman. Okay? We don't really want to go to bed with a wife you know, who likes to call herself Henry, and you know, never shaves, and unless she never needs to, you know, and wears boxer shorts or sweatpants. Okay, no, you know, we really do like that distinction, that female distinction. Real men like that female distinction in a woman, and they regard it. Anyway, I think I can push it for almost another 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on it right away. So if you're a father and you have daughters or daughter, and you really love your daughter, I want to start you up on something in advance. I want you to understand that your daughter is in jeopardy. Right now, she's in jeopardy. She doesn't know it, and maybe you don't either. But she's in jeopardy. And, you know, some fathers would agree with me right now. Yeah, they already know the trouble's out there. Or maybe their daughter already is in jeopardy, you know. But if you don't think your daughter's in jeopardy because nothing seems wrong right now, you, especially you, I want to talk to you about something. See, it's not just the females who've been robbed by the system. You got to kind of step back before World War I to really kind of get a grasp on what's going on. There are exceptions to what I'm about to say, but they're few and far between because of the crossovers in our system. Our system is shorting out. The basic culture in our system and our communities is shorting out people. It's getting very stressful. It's getting very hard for women to actually be women, for men to actually be men. And, you know, the big gender egalitarian push, the farce that is being pushed right now is robbing men and women of their natural affections and their natural proclivities and identities. Men, raise your daughters to understand all the way into their adolescence that daddy has some say in who they marry. Daddy has some say in who they marry. Don't ever just leave it up to your daughter. Oh, love will find a way. More often than not, lust will find a way before love, and your daughter is going to be in a very bad state. All right? Unless you listen to what I'm telling you and take my words to heart and act on what I'm about to tell you, your daughter is headed for disaster. Those are the odds. Now, I already said there are some exceptions to what I'm saying, but the exception only proves the rule, brother. Okay, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not talking about the rule. I'm not talking to you about the exception. I'm talking to you about the rule. The rule. This is the rule. Your daughter's headed for disaster. And you need to do something about it. You need to wake up and realize, number one, you have a say in who your daughter marries, and you better exercise it. Because if you don't, someone else will, and it will likely be to her detriment that they do. All right. When you look at statistics, when you realize that over 50% of the marriages end in divorcement, and then you tack on the other 19% of separations and broken marriages on top of that, you have 69% total of broken marriages ending in divorcement and or separation within, the course of a married lifetime. 69% of them. in our society, in North American society, end in divorce and or separation. Is that what you want for your daughter? Well, I should think not. And there are reasons why that happens. When we start looking, I mean, I have to admit, my data is a little old. I was about 10 years ago, okay? But the stats I've been looking at lately, I don't see much improvement. In fact, I'm beginning to fear that it's probably worse. For example, I do know that over 89% of divorcements in North America are initiated by the woman. In other words, she's the one that appeals to the lawyer to get a divorce. She's the one who first sets her John Henry on the paper to start the proceedings. Men, you have to understand why daughters grow up to be this way. And it isn't just men that are doing it. But we do have a say. And we do have an influence. And we're part of it. As fathers, we're part of this. If you look at the accounts of arranged marriages in North America and all around the world, that's right, folks, there is still arranged marriage being practiced in North America as a way of life, custom, culture, and ethnicity. And it's being done in the name of religion because it's the last stronghold that families can resort to without being thrown into jail for being different. But if you look at this, what do you think the percentage of divorcement is in those communities and in those cultures? Are you ready? Brace yourself. I'm going to tell you, not even 4%. We're not even looking at a one-digit percentage here. But meanwhile, in the secular realm, meanwhile, in North America in total, divorce, marital breakdown, separation, over 69% 10 years ago. I don't want to look anymore. I don't want to look up these stats anymore. It's depressing. It's depressing. I fear for my daughters. I actually pray to God, that they will find good husbands. But I'm telling you, there aren't very many good husbands to go around. And that's really because most men don't know how to be men. And most men don't even know that they should have some say in who their daughters marry. And they should. They invest their blood, sweat, and tears into that young lady's life. They want the best for their daughters, and then their daughters turn around and repay them with what? I'm my own person. I'm free. Listen, here is how it works. For the period of time that your daughter lives underneath your roof and eats food from your table, and you are providing for her as a father would, a good father would, you have say over that young lady. You have some authority over how she conducts her affairs. I know that there's single fathers that really struggle with this because they don't have any, mothers helping this. And my heart goes out to single fathers because so-called single fathers, okay, they're not really single fathers. They definitely married somebody to make that baby, generally speaking. And that's tough. That's tough. I know. I was there. I actually had to raise my 14-year-old daughter single-handedly. So I know into adulthood. And those 4 years were very trying for me. But I loved her so much, And she wasn't too bad a girl. She could have really turned out a whole lot worse. So you see, yeah. I am fully persuaded that I did enough of the right things to give her at least half a good start. I'm not saying I did everything right, and that's why I'm trying to make this series, because there's a lot I could have done better, and in some ways I feel like I failed her. I should have found her a suitor, all right? That used to be the father's job, to find a suitor for his daughter. And in so failing to do so, I believe that my daughter wound up in some very compromising circumstances in her life. And, even though I did offer, see, that doesn't work. You don't just offer. You sit down and you tell your daughter why it's best for you to find a suitor that she can find agreeable to marry. You include her in this, and you ask her to include you in this, and you go into the reasons why you ought to be included. Okay? It's not easy because there aren't very many good men out there, and there aren't very many good men out there, as I said, because of what happened prior to First and Second World War. But let's go into First World War. What happens when the head of the household is, out killing Jerry's, or, out fighting on foreign sand and leaving Mama Bear behind to head the household? What sort of example does Johnny have? And what sort of example does Mary have? Do you see what I'm getting at? And this didn't just happen, over one generation. This happened over 1, 2, 3 successive generations, through First and Second World War, until, and it didn't just happen all one fell swoop either. This is the whole trick of the system. It happens in bits and bytes until eventually there's nothing left. By the time it got to the third generation, young men no longer knew how to be fathers. They didn't know what their responsibilities as fathers were, except to put a roof over the children's head and some clothes on their back, food on their table, and ship them off to school. They felt that that was enough. They're doing their part. Well, to some extent they are, but that is not enough. No, not by any means is that enough. You have to be active in your children's lives. You have to be able to look them in the eyes and talk with them about anything, especially your daughters. By the time a female human being is 16 years old, unless she is seriously compromised, mentally retarded, or has some really, serious medical condition, and even then, many of them with the serious medical conditions, this still applies to. She's ready to marry someone. She's ready to be the wife of someone. Okay? By the time she's 16, her hormones are raging, whether she realizes it or not. Her hormones don't work like male hormones. And that's why she'll find herself in compromising situations where it's but it's too late, because she couldn't help herself. And all of a sudden, daddy's going to be a grandpa, or whatnot. I don't want you to see your daughters in compromising situations. Seriously, I'm turning off this music. I want to be heard here. I don't want you to see yourself having to witness your daughter's suffering. So number one, make sure that you understand that you should be active in picking a spouse for your daughter. You should actually have some say in that while she's living under your roof, while you're putting food on her table, your table, so that she can eat. While you're providing clothing for her, while you're loving her to pieces. sit down and talk to her about how you should also have some say in who she marries. The writing's on the wall. You can't argue with 4% of marriages in other nations, and North America included, only 4% of those arranged marriages actually ending in separation and or divorce, compared to the overwhelming 69+% for those who do not engage in the system of arranged marriages. This is so important to bear in mind. This is just one thing. One thing. But I have many. It's just that I don't really have the time to share them all here with you. If I don't believe in forcing a spouse on somebody. In fact, I don't even call that marriage. That's closer to rape. Okay? A loving father does not violate his daughter's freedom of choice to the extent that he's going to dictate. He shouldn't violate her freedom of choice at all, but sometimes her freedom of choice is completely wrong and there needs to be intervention. But I'm talking about with a normal, healthy female daughter. Father doesn't just go around violating that. He embraces the fact that she's a woman. And that's the hardest part. Daddies, you really have to understand. When she's 16, she's a woman. No, listen, fathers, young fathers, when she turns 16, she's a woman. Hello? She's a woman. I want this to get into your brain cells. She's a woman. Okay? Physiologically, her psychologically, her brain network wiring is already in place. She's a woman. Yes, she's still developing. Yes, she's still growing. Yes, 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 yes. And she'll be doing that for the next 10 years yet. But she's a woman. She is capable of conceiving. She is capable of bearing children. She is not a girl anymore. She's a woman. If I've told you anything here in this non-video audio presentation, I really hope that you get this much. She's a woman. And because she's a woman, you need to be there for her. You need to be strong for her. You need to be some sort of pillar for her. And I don't necessarily mean, physically. No, I don't mean that at all. But if you don't have some sort of system of communication built with her by then, you failed. You failed your daughter. That's why for me it's only, I regard things as just, a little bit of a partial failure here, because I always had some camaraderie with my firstborn daughter, and as I do with my daughters. We communicate. We talk. I don't ever want to see that go away. I don't ever want to see that vanish. But please understand, when she's 16, she's not a little girl anymore. She's a woman. And you have to start treating her as though you're dealing with a woman. And already it's time to really seriously start discussing marriage with her. All the government trappings and what all the obligations and responsibilities of marriage entail. Don't cast a blind eye. Don't honor your fantasy memories of the past of your sweet little princess. She's grown up now. She's 16. And in most cultures, that's a woman. They know that. It's about time North America faces up, mans up to the truth also, and accepts it for what it is. She might be a very young woman, but don't kid yourself. Fathers, she's a woman. She is so much a woman. And if you don't have that level of communication with your daughter where you can reach her and discuss these very serious issues that are going to be sitting on her horizon of her future, you're going to see a lot of trouble in her life and in yours. God bless you. Thank you for listening. I hope this helps somebody. God bless you.